Hi, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about how to find scientific journal articles using Google Scholar. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to scholar.google.com, or you could just go to regular Google and type in Scholar. It'll be the first link you see over there. So let's go ahead and click on that. Alright, so this is the website. You can see it says Google Scholar, there's the address I mentioned up there, and you want to make sure you have articles selected. So now all you need to do is just type in some key terms, so whatever it is you might be interested in. I'm going to type in perceptual illusion. That's the kind of stuff that I like to read about. So let's see what we get. So on the left here, you'll see a bunch of different web links. These are for different sources. Some of these are going to be scientific journal articles and some of them not. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell the difference. But let's just go ahead and click on this one and see what we get. So this one looks like it was published in Science. You can see all the publication details here, like here's the authors, volume number, issue number, and all that stuff, but we don't actually seem to have access to the article itself. Let's try this. No. Yeah, that's how a lot of these Google Scholar sources are going to be. You might be able to find the article and even read the abstract, but you're not going to find full access, unfortunately, for a lot of this stuff. So let's go back and see if we could find a full text source. Alright, so this next one, you notice it says HTML here, and then there's also this thing over here. Let's click on this one and see what we get. So there's the abstract once again. But if we scroll down, now you see we have full text access, so you could read the entire article if you'd like. A lot of this stuff you're probably not going to want to read at this point when you're doing a literature review. You just want to try to find articles that look interesting. You don't really want to read them in depth just yet. So the easiest way to tell if an article is interesting to you is, well, if the title sounds interesting, and if it does, the next thing is to look at the abstract and see if that's interesting. So you just want to read over the abstract, and if it's something you think is kind of neat, then you could maybe include that in your literature review. But I would like to download this. Is there a way I can download a PDF? Yep. So I just clicked on the download PDF button over here, and it looks like I now have a printable version. I wouldn't recommend you print these out though. It's a big waste of paper. You can just read it on your computer. Alright, so if I want to download this and read it later, you can just click on this download button. It's going to download as a PDF, and you just save it wherever you want, and you can read it later. Alright, so that looks pretty good, but let's take a look at a few more. Let's try this one. I don't know what's going on here, but this does not look right. Let's go back. Now, you see over here, it also says there's a PDF. Let's click on that and see what happens. Oh, there you go. So that's how it generally is with Google Scholar. If you find those little PDFs on the right side of the Google Scholar output, then usually that means you can download the full text PDF file. So if I were to read the abstract, and if I like this one too, I could just go ahead and save this one as well. So anytime you see a PDF like this right here, that usually means you're going to get full text access. Let's try it for this one. Yep, just like I said, it looks like we have access to the full text. So that's good. Now, if none of these are particularly interesting to you, you could always try different key terms. Let's try visual illusion and see if we get something better. Yeah, so now it looks like we have a lot more full text access here. And let's just say that this article is one that I really like. Let's pretend that this one is super interesting to me. I haven't read it, but let's just say that. So if I want to use this article in my literature review, I could download it as a PDF, like I already showed you. But to find more articles that are similar to this one, that's something I would need to do to finish out my literature review, and to do that, I'm going to have to try to find similar kinds of articles, of course. And there's a few ways you could do that. So the most obvious way is to just go to this article and see who they cite. So you see those numbers, like the number 4 and 3 and 5? Those are different sources that they have cited in their paper. And you can figure out what those sources are by going to the reference list. So see? These are the people that this paper has cited. And you can find the same sources. Like I could just copy the title of this article and do a Google search for it, just like I have for the other articles I found. And then I could maybe, read the abstract and decide if it's something I want to include, just like before. So this is the most excuse me. This is the most obvious way to find related sources, but it's not the only way. There's a few other ways I'd like to mention. And if you take a look, there's some buttons down here. So first of all, there's related articles. So let's click on that. So this shows you what Google Scholar believes are articles that are similar in some way. And it looks like it's pretty good. So ours was about visual illusion induced by sound. And then yeah, these all sound very similar. So maybe some of these are going to be interesting to me. And maybe I'll be able to fill out my literature review pretty quickly by doing this. But there is another way to find related articles, and that's what this button is for. So if you click on that, it'll show you all the sources that used our first source. So all of these have used this source when they wrote their papers. So every single one of these has cited that source. So obviously they have something in common. So maybe if I look through a few of these, maybe I'll find something even better. Or at least something that I could include in a literature review. So Google Scholar is really great about not only efficiently, quickly finding articles that you are probably interested in, but then it's also really great for being able to find similar articles. It makes doing a literature review super easy. But one of the big problems that students have with a literature review is when it comes to using APA style. And that's another thing I like about Google Scholar. It makes APA style super easy, at least for your references list. So if you want to use a source for your paper, you're going to want to create a list where you put all the information for each source you've included. So if I'm going to include this one, I want to put its information. So let me show you what I mean. In your references list, you want to have something similar to this. It's not going to look exactly like this. This isn't in proper APA style, but it'll look very similar. So what we need is the author names. Right here, we need the journal name, Cognitive Brain Research, the article title, the volume number, year publication. So all the information is right here. And you can just type it into your references list by hand, but that's kind of, annoying. It's annoying to have to do that, and you can make all kinds of mistakes. So what I was saying is Google Scholar is great because you don't have to do pretty much any of that stuff. It'll do it for you. Just go back to where you found that article on Google Scholar and click on these little quotation marks you see over here. And this shows you how to cite the source, or how to build a reference page entry for that source for all these different writing styles. So the one we want is APA, so you can just click on that and copy and then paste into your references list. And that's it. You don't have to edit it at all. Sometimes Google Scholar makes some mistakes. You know, it's just a program. It's going to make mistakes sometimes. But in this case, it looks perfect. Everything is formatted properly. All the information is there. You see author names, year publication, article title, journal name, and that's in italics, volume number, and page numbers. Yeah, everything's there. So it worked great this time. But like I said, sometimes it doesn't. Like, let's see if it does this one correctly. Yeah, it did that one correctly too. So most of the time it is going to work very well, but just you need to remember those basic APA formatting rules, which I cover in a different tutorial video, just to make sure there aren't any little mistakes that Google left in there. Alright, so that's pretty much all there is to Google Scholar. It's very easy to use, as I've already said a few times. There's a lot of other options, like you can restrict your range to just recent stuff, like if you want to just look for articles that have been published since 2000, for example. But that's not so important. One other thing I should probably mention is sometimes you might find links to books, like you see this one here. This is a book. You can use a book in your literature review, but generally we want you to try to find scientific journal articles. So if you see these PDFs over here, you click on them, and it shows you something that looks like this, like authors, article title, journal name. If it looks something like this, then it's probably a legit peer-reviewed journal that you can use. Okay? So just try to find some things like this to fill out your literature review and you'll be in good shape. And that's pretty much all there is to it.